okay? The next thing is, you know, you kind of have to size it, right? So you can easily size something just by clicking on it and then scaling it up or down. If you hold down the Shift key, that gives you a proportionate sizing so that things don't get skewed and look weird. Just hold down the Shift key and I get a nice proportionate resizing, okay? And that's kind of the start of it. So the next thing I'll demonstrate is how to get these color swatches, because that's a really fun thing to do. The thing that I like is I'm going to actually, I have to unlock my layer here. Let me go down and unlock it. It's all one thing. Okay, I'm going to actually go get my sunflower. There it is. I'm going to copy that and bring it back to here. Bring it into here. Okay, so there's my sunflower. And I'm going to put it next to there and I'm going to blow this up because to make your color swatches, it's pretty straightforward. All you have to do is use your little rectangle tool, okay? And you just basically, you know, create a rectangle, okay? And if I hold down the Shift key, it automatically gives me a square, all right? And then if I don't, then I can make a rectangle. But if I hold down the Shift, I get a perfect square. So I'll get my square, and I want to, basically, I want to mimic these boxes, the green, the kind of like the lime green, and the yellow. So I'm going to make 3 squares, and I'm going to duplicate. I've got one I like. So whenever you have something you like in Illustrator and you want a second one, all you have to do is hold down the Option or the Alt key on a PC, and you can duplicate your squares. Then there's this tool. It's very handy. It's called the eyedropper tool. And I can use that and I can pick colors off of any photograph. So let's zoom in there. And I want to get, you know, I want to get a green. And it's going to be helpful to have your color picker handy and your tool palette handy. And I'm going to go and you can see how the color picker chooses certain colors. So I want to get a nice green, not too dark, not too light, maybe something like that. So I've got that color. And then if I'm happy with that, that's good. If I think, oh, I want to modify it a bit, I can just double click on that fill button. And there's the color right there in my color picker. And I can, you know, maybe I want it to be a little brighter. I want it to be a little darker, right? And if I want to go back to the original, I just click on the bottom here. And when I pick a new one, it updates here. So that's my original, that's my new one. So I'm going to just slightly modify it, and I hit OK, and it updates. So there it is right there. And the next one I want to do is going to be, you know, maybe I want to pick another color. So I'm going to, you know, maybe it's that lime green, a little more yellow in it, right? And you can kind of see, sometimes you have to zoom in. And it helps you identify that yellow. I want yellow green. So you gotta kind of zoom around, something like that. Yeah, that's better. And I can always double click, and if I want it a little, you know, a little there, something like that. Where is it? Oh, there it is right there. All right, and then I want a yellow. So I'm going to click on my third square, grab my color picker, and go get a bright yellow, something like that. That looks good, okay? So that's kind of how I get my color swatches, right? And those, I can create an entire color strategy from my inspiration pictures. And I might select a few more. So I've got those, and another way you can manage your colors, and this is, oh, hold on here. I gotta move my Zoom thing. Is you can go get your swatches window. Okay, and that's, I kind of have them pictured up here. There's your swatches window, and there's your color picker. So I just went over the color picker, and that's just, you just get your color picker by double clicking on your color palette, and there it is, color picker, all right? And you can use that for your fill, or you can use it for your stroke. And remember, your stroke is around your artwork, right? So I can increase my stroke weight. So there's always two color aspects to your artwork in Illustrator. There's your stroke and there's your fill. Okay, blue stroke, yellow fill. Blue stroke, yellow fill. And if I don't want to have a stroke, I don't want to have that, then I can just turn it off by highlighting it, making sure it's at the front. There, the yellow is at the front, which means it's active. So I want to make sure that my stroke is active at the front, and then this diagonal line. A lot of times when you hover over things in Illustrator, it kind of pops up with a little window and it tells you what it's going to do. So that says, you know, none. So I just click on that and it turns off my stroke. And then I can just have like no stroke on my artwork. If I wanted to save my colors in my swatches, which is, you know, this is a really nice window. It's found under Window Swatches down there. Right, you can bring that up, and I like to work with my swatches because then you can also, later on I'll show you how you can bring those swatches into other files. They're file dependent, but there is a swatch library that you can then use to share with other files. But it's really good when you're working on a project to populate your swatches with the colors that you use and repeat those. That's just like good, you know, design practice. So what you can do is, you know, when you select your color, you see how it updates, right, in the in your tool palette. So when it's active and it's in the front, then all I have to do is click on it and then hold the mouse down and drag it over, and there you see the little plus sign again, right? And you drop it, and there's my new swatch, and there's my lime green, and I'll do the same thing, pop it over there, and the third one. And I pop it in there. So now I've got those three color swatches that are, you know, I can move around my document, and I always have those in there. Okay, so that's those are very handy for managing your color and establishing like what colors you might want to use. And I can apply those colors to artwork, to type, to anything. Okay. Any questions on that? Okay.
I can't think of any.
Good. Yeah, you know, we've got some time. So just because we kind of have to move along at a schedule to cover the curriculum, right? But if you're working on something and you get kind of stuck, just make a note of it, you know, like I'm stuck on this, right? And then try to do something else. And then you can, you know, in class or via email or whatever, I'm always meeting with students. I have office hours, and I can set up a time to kind of just help troubleshoot any issues you have. But you kind of have to stay on this because we're on a schedule, okay? So try to work on some stuff, and then if you can't, you get stuck on something, make a note of it, but try to do something else. Like don't get so focused on like what you can't do that you do nothing. You know, there's always something else you can work on, like your type. That's a really easy thing to work on. So let's go over the type tool, because it's easy and it's super fun. You know, type is a really important part of graphic communication. So being able to just work with typography is a really good skill. And it's an important part of graphic design. There's always type in a design, right? So your type tool is located here on your tool palette, the T for type. There it is right there, right? And typically you just click on that and you can start typing on a line. I just click and I can like type my name. There it is, right? And when I select it, you'll see that it's on this baseline. That's what we call the kind of invisible line that type sits on is called a baseline. And it always, when you just click and you start typing in Illustrator, it just puts it on a line. And if I kept typing on this line, it would just keep growing. You know, I could have like a line of text that are 100 feet long, and Illustrator would just keep generating it. Okay, so that's not what we want to do, but that's how it works. It's just a line of type. So that's one way to make type. You can put it on a line, and that's really good for individual words or a small amount of text, like a sentence or a short phrase or a slogan. You can just put it like on a line. If I have a paragraph or, you know, more than a sentence, you want to probably use a type box, and you use the same tool, but instead of just clicking and typing, you click and you draw a box, right? And then you fill that with type. So you kind of click, and then all you have to do is paste, and you can put type in it. So now that type is actually in that box. And I can highlight it, and I can, where's my type window? Oh, got to get my type window. It's under your window. Go down to type and character. There's my type character window, okay? And I can adjust the size, right, in my box. I can adjust how much spacing is between the line. That's called the leading, and that works like that. And usually the rule of thumb is when you set type, you want your leading to be at least 3 points larger. So if I've got 8-point type, 8 plus 3 equals 11. There's 11. That's the bare minimum. So part of how much spacing you put in your type box is you know, the size of the type, how big you want it to be, that type of thing. But that's a good rule of thumb, and you can always make it more. So if I increase it, you can see how it's disappeared, and there's a little red box. Let's see if you see that little red box there? It's actually got a plus sign, so it means that there's more text. So there, I can just drag my box down, and can always edit my text. And let me see here. Yeah, I can always make it, you know, bigger. So white space is really friendly. It makes it easy to read when there's more white space around your type. Okay, so that's the size, the amount of white space there between the lines. That's called the leading. That's at 24 right now. And then this is the tracking, and that's the amount of space on the line. So I can, so, you know, if I put it to 200, you can see it's got a lot of, let's even make it bigger so it looks even more evident. You see all this, the space, it spreads it out horizontally. Okay, and that's almost hard to read, right? So too much space is not good, and not enough space is not good. So a good rule of thumb, it really depends on the size, but just start off by, you know, working with 25 or 50. Typically, the smaller the type, the more horizontal tracking you need, okay? And another bad thing, let me go back to here. You see when you put like a little paragraph of text down, you see how I've got one word all by itself at the bottom? That's a no-no. Don't ever do that. Right? So what you have to do is just adjust your column width, or you have to work with getting it so that there's not a little word all by itself. That's called an orphan. No orphans in your type.